back to one of the top stories. Government today condemning the military veterans' actions in keeping two ministers and a deputy minister hostage last night. Government saying they're not embarrassed about the incident. They held a media briefing earlier. Our reporter Nickolaus Bauer was there. He joins me now. Nickolaus, afternoon. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. So Thandi Modise and government are not embarrassed? Really?
Well, you know, if it was up to them and not taking questions from journalists, they would have just completely downplayed the issue. They tried to in any case, but it was only after some prodding by the assembled reporters that we actually got an explanation as to how this hostage situation first took place. And it was one of the first questions that I asked, you know, in an election period, to have 3 senior government ministers being taken hostage by people they claim to represent, are they not embarrassed? And, yeah, Thandi Modise and Mondli Ngungubele really just fending off those suggestions that they should be embarrassed, and certainly just trying to play artful dodger with the fact that we have, you know, members of the security cluster being taken hostage by military veterans.
And I mean, this is a meeting that was missed by the deputy president at the last minute. I don't know if that's yet been explained.
We tried to ask exactly why Deputy President Didi Mabuza was not there, and the minister in the presidency, Minister Ngungubele, pains to say that he can't demand an explanation as to why someone more senior than him is not in a place that they were supposed to be, but just saying that they were seconded to do the meeting. They had all the necessary power, all the necessary resources to try and not only hold the meeting, but you know, at least reach some sort of a rapport with those that are gathered there. But you have to remind yourself, I mean, that meeting was due to take place several hours before they actually showed up. And they were not told that the Deputy President Didi Mabuza was not going to come, and at the last minute we're told, okay, Defence Minister Thandi Modise is coming alongside Minister in the Presidency Mondli Ngungubele. And you know, for all intents and purposes, from what we can establish there, the military veterans were just simply having none of it and feel completely not only disregarded on the night, but disregarded completely by the government.
Well, I can think of one person senior enough to ask Didi Mabuza where he was. So the Minister, Thandi Modise, so she's the Minister of Defence and Military Veterans. We've actually had a Department of Military Veterans for 15 years, I think. She makes the point, and I've got a strong point and an important point, that considering the resources that go to military veterans, they should be in a better position than they are. Did you sense some frustration from her on that?
Definitely. If there's one thing that she was unequivocal about, is that a lot of military veterans in South Africa, and that's regardless of whether or not they belong to Umkhonto we Sizwe or other former liberation movement military wings, there's no bang for buck in terms of what government is spending. Houses are not being built and handed over to the relevant people. The various other privileges that you should enjoy in terms of healthcare and education is simply not reaching the people that deserve them the most, the people that actually took part in the liberation struggle. And what she did do that I thought was quite significant at this press conference was make a firm commitment to get to the bottom of where every single cent is being spent in military veterans matters in the department itself, to not only get bang for buck, but also ensure that money is being used correctly.
So what is she going to do now? She's going to have an investigation. The issue really is to try and defuse some of these tensions, otherwise this is just going to happen again. Did I hear correctly? She thinks this idea of a payment of 4 million rand each is not going to happen?
Definitely not. And again, look, I have to reiterate, this was, I wouldn't call it a face-saving exercise, but it was definitely an exercise in trying to downplay what happened yesterday. And Thandi Modise, I suppose to some that might be reassuring. Yeah, I'm not a military veteran myself. I can't speak for them, but you know, at least to hear that the minister in charge is going to at least try and get to the bottom of why various things that have been promised to military veterans ever since that department was incepted in 2009 haven't been forthcoming. Will we see another instance like this? Stephen, if things don't change, I wouldn't completely rule that out. But for the moment, we do know that over 50 military veterans were arrested yesterday. And I pushed Minister Ngungubele as well as Minister Modise on that and said, as part of coming to some sort of an agreement where you can, you know, just push this under the carpet or at least downplay it, will you try and ensure that charges are dropped? Minister Ngungubele said that it's far too gone now and it's in the hands of the MPA. Well, I'm not too sure if you want to go on the recent record of the MPA, but it might be a while before we see charges being brought.
It wasn't serious, but charges have been brought, but we can't remove the charges, but it's not serious. I think I'm with you. In the end, this is actually a long-running problem, and there are various things here. I mean, the point's been made. I think Omri Mokwale was talking on this channel earlier today. I know he's made the point today that people who fought for the South African Defence Force, the Apartheid Defence Force, they're actually in a much better position than people who fought on the other side of the struggle for freedom, the people who actually fought for freedom. And this is one of the injustices of all of this, is that the people who really did a lot have got very little.
Indeed, and I mean, this goes with the conundrum of trying to deal with one of the world's most unequal societies. I mean, freedom did arrive in 1994, and it would almost be expected that the former combatants of the apartheid army would be in a slightly better position than those of liberation movements that came to power. Notwithstanding the fact that millions upon millions of rand has been set aside to try and deal with the challenges that military veterans are facing. How government not only deals with this matter, but also continues to try and reassure people that they are the party to vote for come local government elections. I mean, this is a government media briefing. We can't forget we're in an election cycle. The government's run by the ANC. And, if we're only weeks away until an election, how do you explain away the fact that a government who claims to be by the people, for the people, is being held hostage by people they claim to represent?
Nickolaus Bauer, thanks very much indeed. Do appreciate it. Our reporter on that story today is with the Defence Minister.